Hey, good afternoon. My name is Scott McCutcheon of Sovereign Studios. Welcome to episode 5 of my Yamaha Virago project. As you can see, things are starting to come together pretty well. If you've been following me since the previous video, we just got the forks put on, and I figured today we'd go ahead and try and get the rear swing arm on, so that we could start getting this thing to look more like an actual motorcycle. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. In our last episode, I wanted to go ahead and do this, but I was missing one of the bolts. The bolt I was missing is this one here, which is funny because I had one, right? But I went ahead and got on eBay, and for 30 bucks I found what I'm calling a Yamaha grab bag of parts, right? And it was just really just like all this stuff here. Just a series of bolts and nuts and different pieces that some guy pulled off his 95. Came with some other stuff, just various nonsense. Most of it I'm probably not going to use, but it specifically had that one bolt that I was missing, as well as this rubber insulator, vibration dampener thing for the gas tank that I was also missing. That is apparently kind of expensive if you buy it new. And then I was missing a couple other little pieces there. Oh, right, I was missing this for the rear wheel, I think. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I do still have it. There it is. It's already painted black, so never mind on that. Either way, went ahead and grabbed the grab bag so that we could do this. So for the most part, we're going to go ahead and get the rear swing arm on. And we'll talk about the rear shock, right? So I do still have the rear shock, the original OEM one. You'll see it down there with the forks. I do still have that original shock. And I'm pretty sure it will still work, but I don't want to use it. So instead we're going to replace it with the Yamaha R6 Shock. The difference here is that obviously, as you can see, the R6 Shock is significantly shorter than the OEM shock, so we're going to have to figure something out for that. We're probably going to have to weld in a mount point here to get that to work. And obviously we'll have to find some different bushings and spacers and whatnot for this. So we're not going to do the rear shock today, but we are going to get the rear swing arm mount on so that we can work on controls and stuff real soon. So I guess first things first, we'll see how this mounts up, right? And essentially we just we take this pin out, and it's going to slide in right through there. Pretty simple stuff. As you can see, this one's still pretty well greased. Actually, we still got a lot of grease on there, so that's good. So this guy is going to go kind of over this. The axle shaft will slide in there when we're ready. Actually, before we put this on, I'm going to pop this out, because this is how we'll align that thing. Go ahead and slide her on in there. Just an FYI, while I was cleaning up, don't forget this this boot right here when you put the swing arm back on, because obviously I just had to take the swing arm back off in order to put the boot back on, because I forgot to do it. So don't forget that, right? So I guess before we do this, we'll talk about this real quick. So you can pop these caps off. I'm not exactly sure how, but then there's an actual slide pin and a couple spacers and stuff hanging out inside there. But since it's all together, I'm not taking it apart. And we'll get that pretty tight. looks good. Okay, so with the rear swing arm in place, let's go ahead and tighten up the rear subframe there. Cool, get that all tightened. So the next big thing is going to be these control mount pieces. So this one is for the right hand side of the bike. It has the rear brake linkage there. And if I recall from the manual, right, this piece is actually going to be mounted just here on the right side, much like this. Yeah? Yep, that looks pretty good. So we'll drop that back on there. And then of course, now we have the full slide bolt. Of course, I don't know what size that is. Probably also the 14, yeah. 14 millimeter. But now we can tighten it down. Very good. So, as far as this goes, I'm not so sure about this just yet. I think something else might go on here. So we're not going to fully tighten that just yet. Well, let's get the other side done. So, on this side, we also need to be concerned with the kickstand. And the kickstand itself, I'm pretty sure mounts like this. And it goes first. Just like that. Alright? And then we do this. Which I'm pretty sure goes in like so. And then I'm pretty sure obviously something else looks like it goes here. I'm not sure what though, just yet. I am not sure. All right. And that's the rear subframe. So I'm going to end up leaving it kind of hanging like that. I'm not exactly sure how comfortable I am doing that. So rigged up this kind of janky zip tie connector. It'll help keep the pressure up or off that thing. Right, so looking pretty good. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for the swing arm. It was these pieces here, I believe. These are the mid-mount footrests, or control rests. So I'm pretty sure this would go here, right? And then this one over here obviously fits in right there. I don't think I'm going to end up using these. I'm going to use rear-mounted rear sets. So we're not going to put those in. Which I think are actually these. These are the rear-mounted rear sets that would go here. But I'm also not going to use these. So I've already ordered some universal rear sets and some linkages that'll be used for these instead. So I guess the only real trick is that I need these spacer pieces. Since I'm not going to be mounting them, I need these spacers here to make sure that everything still fits properly with the bolts. It looks like these spacers just pop right out. So we're going to try to just hammer them out using this slide bolt here. So those spacers will work out real well to help me keep the original bolts without having to file them down. We'll go get the other side. Oh, look at that. These actually look like they still have washers attached. That means these on the right side, these on the left side. We're going to go ahead and use them here so that they're flat and flush. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that back down. That's okay. Well, that I kind of find hard to believe. Oh. Well, it is hard to believe because I can slide that over a bit more. Alright, so now we got a good length. I mean, it looks like I actually don't even need this piece there. As far as this goes, it definitely needs to be there. That needs to be there. So does that. Now, as far as the kickstand itself goes, there's supposed to be a spring that I guess mounts here to here. I want to say it's going to be this one here. We'll want to clean this up a little bit because it's pretty nasty. There we go, kickstand. Just like that. But if I recall, yeah, the final piece of the kickstand is actually the kickstand sensor, which is this guy here. So I guess I'm fortunate enough to still have this. Whether or not it's still good, I don't know. Obviously the boot is fucked. Oops. But you might be able to get away with using it. But I guess for now I'm going to leave it off because I'm not sure just yet. I expect it's fine, but we'll get to that when we get all the wiring ready. So finally, there is a center stand But again, I don't think we're going to remount it. At least not for now. We might get to it. But the center stand just mounts right up in here, just like that. Like I said, I don't think we're going to remount it. And we're just going to use the side stand. But we'll decide that as we get a little bit further along. So, I suppose that's about it for now. That's the rear swing arm back together. Right. As you can see, we got the rear swing arm back on. This is all looking pretty good now. You know, we'll get to the rear shock later. But for now, let's go ahead and get the intake manifold back on, right? So, if you guys have been following along, you know, we got the frame and everything put back together, but the real trick was this, right? So these are the original carburetors. You know, these Kaihen, I think, makes these. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. Either way, they're not in very good shape, even though I do think they still work. So, whatever. But the dual carb setup, I personally don't know a lot about carburetors. You know, this is the first time I've ever owned one, worked with one, so this is somewhat of a learning experience for me. But I wanted to simplify the process, so we went ahead and decided we'd go with a single carb. So I went and got a, this is a Mikuni VM30 or 34, I don't remember, VM34 I think, or no, VM30, I'm sorry. It's a VM30 carburetor, Mikuni VM30, and we're going to use this single one to run both heads instead of dual carbs. So to do that, we're going to have this piece, which is basically a intake manifold. So this intake manifold will mount up kind of like that, and we'll, you know, and then we'll mount the carburetor onto the side. So first things first, to do that, I had to go and get new boots, because the intake boots that I had were, one of them was missing, right here. This is the only one I still had, and as you can see, it's in pretty rough shape. But I was missing the other one entirely, so I just went ahead and got new ones. I'm not exactly sure which one's which as far as what side they go on. I guess I was hoping it'd be a little more, you know, obvious. But I'm not sure, so we'll figure that out. So, rear one's going to have 2 nipples on it, and the front one is going to have 1, which is fine. I'm still not sure exactly what these fucking vacuum lines are for anyway, but we'll find out eventually. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and mount up the intake manifold. Basically what this is the piece that will allow me to use the single carb. This is a Mikuni VM30 that we're going to mount right here on the side. And instead of the dual carb syncing thing, you know, we don't have to worry about synchronizing dual carbs or making sure both carbs work and all that stuff. Like, you know, we drastically simplify this Virago like this. So, okay, so we need to mount this guy. It makes sense to put these boots on first, because otherwise it's going to be super difficult to get on. Trust me, I tried. This does present some problems, though, because you need to be able to mount these gaskets inside here. And the nature of these boots are that the gasket I was provided is just slightly too large to really seat down in there well. So thanks for that, aftermarket manufacturer, whoever I bought these from. So that's super annoying. But hopefully we'll be able to get them seated. to fit in there correctly. Alright, and there you have it, an intake manifold. And then we go and tighten these down. Alright, VIP intake manifold. So then we take the carb itself, now that we have this all mounted up. We want the carb to be more or less level, so I'm going to kind of mount it like that, I guess. And of course this might actually be easier to do with the carb detached, now that I'm thinking about it. Pop that out, and we'll just use the boot for the time being. Alright, it'll pop in more or less like that. As you can see, it already has like a built-in gasket, kinda. And then these are true lock washers, or lock nuts, vinyl threaded lock nuts. So we'll get those on there. It looks like they're going to be 11 mil, maybe. Yeah, 11 millimeter. Alright, and there's the mount. Now we can put the carb on. And the carb we just press in. Much like that. After which we tighten this guy. And there we go. Mikuni VM30 carburetor. So, of course, when we're ready, we got the throttle over here. We'll wrap the throttle cable around here, and it'll be there. We'll probably keep this choke lever in place for now, because the R6 doesn't come with the choke lever itself. We'll probably leave that in place as a manual usage kind of thing. And there's your carburetor. We'll get around to doing the controls and the cables and filter and stuff at another time. And that'll be that. So, not too shabby for a day of work, if I do say so myself. I think that's going to look pretty good. Yeah, we'll be in good shape. Alright, cool. Thanks for watching. My name is Scott McCutcheon again. Thanks for watching episode 5 of my Virago build. I'm glad we got the subframe together. I'm glad we got the intake manifold mounted and the throttle body put on. And we'll go ahead and get to the rest of it real soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, maybe like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and you know, maybe check out my game on Steam, Ethereal Legends, and tell me what you think. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more. Alright, thanks.